Jacoby-Tarbox offers two styles, the 3-bolted 805S and the 4-bolted 830-F. We'll be rebuilding the 830-F today. Before we get started, a couple things you're going to need: clean workspace, you are handling glass, a torque wrench calibrated and with the appropriate range, Jacoby-Tarbox IOM manual available to download from the website or supplied with your spare parts kit, and then new glass and gaskets. Whenever rebuilding a site flow indicator, when you have an all-glass element, the glass must be replaced with the gaskets at every rebuild. So never reuse the glass. Before you get started, we happen to have two here, so I jumped a little bit further ahead. But before you get started, it's always good to see where you're going to finish. And what I mean by that is if you look at a built unit, you'll see the thread engagement, and that'll give you an idea of where to get started so that you don't over loosen and take too much apart. To save time, we just simply remove the top nuts to remove the top head of the assembly, remove the glass and gaskets, discard those, and then we can start fresh. So, very simple rebuild. You're placing in a single gasket, a glass cylinder. Quite frankly, not hitting the metal is really your only goal. Don't want to pinch it against the side, cause any kind of impingement. You're going to eyeball roughly being centered, but in the end, it's just generally make sure you do not have any glass contact around the cylinder, and that is a successful alignment. Then take the gasket, place in the head on the opposite side. A little bit trickier, as you've got 4 loose studs hanging out here in space, is just walk your way around. As you bring them all into alignment through the different holes in the head, you'll gently let it go down so that you do not clink the glass. And again, we're going to go down the same path of looking, have we aligned ourselves? Are we roughly in a line? The quickest way to do it is pinch it together, turn it over, look, and see how aligned you are on the opposite side. Actually, not too bad out of the gate. A little bit movement of the gasket, and we'll be good to go. Appear that we're relatively in line. Everything looks generally straight. And bring down the jam nut on top of the fastener. When you bring them down to flush, maybe just to the edge of the chamfer on top of the stud. Don't need to go really any further at this point. You're just keeping the parts aligned to get them all into place before doing any kind of tightening. You'll notice even the bottom side was loose as well as we went to put this to get it started. Again, makes a little wobbly, but does not have any potential problems for you when you go to get that alignment when you're all finished up. So again, pinching tight so we don't fall apart. Look, see, we're evenly spaced on all those, on the nuts on the bottom. So take the bottom, bring it down, just start to snug it up. A lot of hand work, very little wrench work required on a tubular site flow indicator. So we walk around, make sure that all 4 are nice and snug now, just again by hand, looking, making sure that we are in good shape, evenly extended beyond. Okay, we've still got a little bit of movement, so we haven't brought it down tight yet. That's perfectly fine. Again, double check our alignment, make sure nothing moves too far out. Looks like we're in good shape. So now we can go to finger tightening. Tubular site flow indicators have very, very low torques. In this particular instance, to get the torque value required, again, torque value is shown in the IOM manual, and when they're found, all torque values displayed are minimum value. Torque values on tubular site flow indicators are very low, so you may not have a foot-pound wrench that goes low enough. You may have to convert to inch-pounds. The 2-inch 830 has a torque value of 7 foot-pounds. If you don't have a torque wrench that goes down to 7 foot-pounds, maybe it goes down to 10, maybe it's down to 20. Go to inch-pounds, convert inches to feet very quickly. Say 7 foot-pounds times 12, 84 inch-pounds, so we go up to 85. Going up a little bit higher is perfectly fine. All values published are minimums. They can be exceeded by 50% or 20 foot-pounds, whichever is smaller. Obviously, we'll go to the smaller in this case, so 7 1.5 times would be 10.5. So you could go up to 120 inch-pounds or the 10 foot-pounds, as that would be for the table. So we're gonna use an inch-pound torque wrench. I've already preset it to 85. Normally we wouldn't jump right to the finished torque value, but in some instances when the torques are very low, hand tightening gets you more than halfway there. Depending on the person, you could be going 3 foot-pounds, you could be going 5 foot-pounds just by hand tightening before you get to a torque wrench. So want to make sure that all of our back nuts are down far enough out of the way so we can properly load the top of the head of the assembly. So they're down, they're removed out of the way. We did snug up the ones on the bottom just so we don't have any indexing of the fastener going up and down as we try to tighten these. To ensure they're really fairly snug, you can take an open end wrench, just do a little tiny bit of a touch on them, make sure that we don't have any rotation. Catch all 4. Sequence doesn't matter here, there's no torque value to this. This is just bringing metal to metal so we sandwich the head between the 2 nuts. Okay, now we go through, we're gonna finger tighten, gonna walk away just the same way we normally would whenever we do an assembly. So we'll crisscross the pattern, even though we're just doing finger tightening. Get finger tight, and then push down a little bit, make sure we didn't get too loose. Looks like we're in pretty good shape. Now we'll bring in our torque wrench. Again, the crisscross pattern as we go. So we'll see how far, a little loose. There we go. 2 turns without clicking, so we'll just make sure we didn't get too far. Okay, now we'll bring it all the way down. And you can see we're extremely close, even just after our hand tight. So we crisscrossed our pattern. We walk around one more time just to make sure we're consistent all the way around the circle. And we are, in all cases. We will first go through, make sure our bottom back nuts are nice and tight. This ensures that the heads don't have the ability then to move toward one another. So we take the back nuts on both sides when we're done, bring them down, give the unit some overall rigidity. But again, it's done after you've created the torque value high enough to create a seal. So it's important that seal is primary, and then giving the unit some rigidity is secondary. If you have a glass cylinder and one of these heads were to tip inward, it would be very, very simple for the cylinder to fracture. So that's what we're really trying to do here, is just ensure that these heads cannot move inward, put any undue stress upon this. That would be the complete rebuild of our 830. If you had an 805, you do the exact same rebuild, you just have 3 studs instead of 4. Again, just to reinforce the point, whenever rebuilding a unit, glass and gaskets must be repaired as a set. Do not place glass that's already been installed back into service. If you have any questions, Jacoby-Tarbox.com has the IOM manual, complete drawings of the assemblies, and of course, live chat or email us with any questions.